Okay, folks, the fire has been lit and shade has been thrown. Margaret Court has called Serena Williams for officially playing in an easy era. Insane, we know. A lot of people might be offended and some might agree. We're here to give you a rundown of what happened and why, so stay tuned because things are about to get heated. First up, what exactly happened? Margaret Court recently called out the tennis legend and questioned whether her legacy was as great as people say it is. It's important to remember that Margaret holds a record 24 singles Grand Slam titles, which is one up from Williams. Yet on most occasions, it's Williams who keeps being hailed as the greatest women's tennis player of all time. Could this be Court just being a sore loser? Margaret Court spent most of her career playing in the amateur era and is a strong believer in the fact that touring and the game in general are on a much easier level now. She talked about how things have become convenient for the average tennis player, considering they have multiple people on their team constantly taking care of both their physical and mental health. They didn't have psychologists back in their days, and she believes that helped players build a certain mental fortitude that players these days just don't have. A point that was brought up in Williams' defense was that she played and won the 2017 Grand Slam in the Australian Open while being pregnant with her daughter Olympia. No easy feat, might we add. However, Court retorted by telling us that she'd won her Grand Slams in a shorter period when compared to Serena Williams, that too while becoming a mother of two. Next up, how good was Margaret? Well, let's look at Margaret Court, the accuser. When you look at the stats, Court has had a way shorter career than Williams, that too shorter by almost a decade, retiring at 30 while Serena recently retired at the age of 40. Even during this short career, Court took 2 years off in between. When she initially retired, she'd just gotten married and was enjoying being a mother, doubting she'd ever return to the game. She did all of this and came back to have her best year in tennis, winning 24 out of the 25 tournaments she played in. Simply phenomenal, if you ask us. Margaret Court won all of her majors during the period of 1960 to 1973. It was a time when very few players of the game ventured down to play in Australia, so this led to a lot of tennis fans dismissing her achievements for lack of competition. However, Court offers a rebuke, telling us that the world number one at the time showers up along with the fact that 5 of the Australian players participating at the time were members of the top 10 players in the world at the time. So when you think about it, she had a way harder time fighting for her titles than most players do. Coming up, let's take a look at Serena Williams. First off, we have to acknowledge the fact that Serena wasn't the only tennis-playing Williams in the family. She and her sister Venus teamed up to win an astounding 14 doubles Grand Slam titles, an astounding feat if you think about it. The sisters teamed up again during the 2000s Olympics and managed to bag a couple of gold medals for themselves. Serena herself became the first of the 2 sisters to win a Grand Slam title, namely the 1999 US Open. Many had predicted the older sister would end up winning it first, but Serena broke that stigma. This gave birth to one of the greatest players the game has ever seen. She just carried on winning titles. Despite being a bit inconsistent for a while, she came and won the 2002 French Open, US Open, and Wimbledon. An amazing feat for someone so young. At 2003, she won the Australian Open, and this allowed her to have completed a career Grand Slam of winning all 4 major tournaments required. Serena went on dominating until she ended up with 23 Grand Slam titles. This was more than any man or woman had accomplished during the Open era. The women knew how to make a legacy, that's for sure. Finally, is Serena Williams the greatest or not? Now, we're not tennis pundits, so we can't make that judgment call. What we can do is tell you how she managed to break records, shatter ceilings placed on her ability, and cement her legacy as one of the best tennis players that have ever lived. Now, sure, she may be 1 title short of Margaret Court, and sure, she's been playing longer, but it doesn't necessarily mean she isn't the better of the 2. Unfortunately, the 2 were part of different eras of the game. Otherwise, they could have just pit them against each other in an exhibition match. Now, while we watch them play a match against one another, we can certainly stack up their stats side by side and figure out who's in the right. One important thing to note is the fact that Serena is the oldest player to have ever won a Grand Slam at the age of 35 years old. She even managed to win the title during her pregnancy. That's a feat nobody shares with her. To put things into perspective, other top 5 players during the Williams era, such as Venus Williams, Maria Sharapova, Victoria Azarenka, Jennifer Capriati, and Justine Henin have managed to win 26 titles combined. Their combined efforts are just titles ahead of Serena alone. That's spectacular in our books. Serena Williams has been a dominant and feared force every time she set foot on tennis court since she turned pro at the age of 14. Sure, there have been many doubters, but we have to say she's gotten rather good at leaving even them in awe every chance she gets. Next, in other news, Ons Jabeur beats Garcia to reach the Open final. Ons Jabeur has been putting on staggering performances throughout this tournament. She's been on an unbeaten win streak, and she managed to defeat Charlotte Garcia and move on to the finals unfazed. Talk about being stone cold. She talked about how sometimes, even when all of her coaches were telling the exact opposite, she just trusted her gut. And honestly, that worked out in her favor very well on numerous occasions. Jabeur also managed to gain redemption for Serena Williams as she managed to defeat Asia Tomljanovic on Tuesday. The tennis star played to her strengths against Garcia and managed to outdo her on the court and move on to her first ever US Open final. Next up, Iga Swiatek beats Sergey to reach her first US Open final. The current world number one, Iga Swiatek, has managed to defeat Sabalenka Sergey and reach her first ever US Open final to face up against Ons Jabeur. Currently, she already has 2 Grand Slam titles to her name and is looking to add a third one in the form of the US Open. Despite losing her first set to Aryna Sabalenka on Thursday evening, she managed to rally back for a win using her skills and experience. She was already being seen as the line grizzled veteran left in the competition, so it was only fitting that she takes her rightful place in the finals. Swiatek stated in her post-match conference how she wasn't feeling in 100% shape. And if that's true, then the fact that she still managed to pull off an immaculate win and carve her way to the finals just speaks lengths to her tennis abilities. Lastly, the US Davis Cup captain falls ill. The US Davis Cup captain Mardy Fish is set to miss out on the group stage matches in Glasgow due to getting COVID-19, and Bob Bryan will be stepping in as interim captain for the time being. Now, we don't have to get nervous because Bryan is a very good accomplished tennis player in his own right, having won 16 doubles Grand Slams alongside his brother Mike. Not only that, he was a big part of the US team that won the Davis Cup back in 2007, so he has experience playing in the tournament. A step up from being just a player, Bryan has also held a coaching role under Mardy Fish for the Davis Cup victory over Colombia to allow them to victory. The man has experienced coaching players, so stepping in as captain shouldn't prove to be much of a challenge. If anything, it'll be easier. Francis Tiafoe is also slated to be a part of the US team representing them at the Davis Cup. The man was phenomenal during the US Open, so the Davis Cup shouldn't prove to be that big of an adjustment. The group stage matches in question will be held in Bologna, Italy, Spain, and Germany. It's sure to be a treat for all the fans watching. The US Open is set to face off against Britain, Kazakhstan, and the Netherlands team in Glasgow. We can rest assured knowing we're in safe hands. That's a wrap for this video. Do you think Serena Williams deserves GOAT status? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.